The Chargers are in great position. Not only have they brought in some great talent this offseason to really help make this team a contender again, but they have so much young talent or guys that maybe haven't reached their full potential that could really have a breakout season this year. And that's exactly what this video is going to be about. We had a video a couple days ago about my four or five guys for the defense that I had having a breakout season this year. Now we're going to be switching to the offensive side. We're going to be talking about the guys on the offense side of the ball that I believe are going to be having breakout-like seasons. Now, similar to the last video, if you haven't checked it out, I'd recommend you go check that out. We're going to have a little look back on the previous years, quick little synopsis on what they've done so far. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that changed this year and why I think that they're going to be able to have a breakout year and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to go through each person. I got 5 players right here on the offense side of the ball. I'm going to go through each one and why I believe that they're going to have a breakout season this year. So if this is your first time on the channel, my name is John. This is the Sports Advocate. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Give me some criticism down below because I'm really trying to improve for you guys. And if you really enjoy this content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Not only will that mean the world to me, but then next time I have a Chargers video or NBA or NHL video, you can go ahead and check that out and you'll know right away because it'll pop up on your homepage, and maybe you even set the notification so it pops up right away. But nonetheless, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into this. The first guy I have on here that I think is going to have a breakout year is a guy that's in a very similar scenario to the past 2 seasons of the Chargers, a rookie. Not only was Rashawn Slater last year a rookie, he came in the league, he was instantly a Pro Bowler. Year before that, we had Justin Herbert that was just outside Pro Bowl voting, and he wins Rookie of the Year. So I have pretty high expectations, especially with how well Rashawn Slater did last year, that Zion Johnson will have a very good year this year, a breakout season if you want to refer to it as that, and just really come into his own right away for this team. He's going to be instant starter. I think we all know and expect that as long as injuries don't occur, which we hope not. But let's look at his college stats real quick. Obviously, he hasn't played a year in the NFL, hasn't played a single game or anything, so we have to look at his college stats and kind of reference off that. He played 3 years in college at Boston. He only allowed 3 sacks over all 3 years total, which is an incredible number. That's something that a lot of guys are over in 1 year amount of sacks that they allow, or they're over 3 per year on most scenarios, and over 3 seasons he only let 3 sacks occur, which is an incredible statistic that gives you a lot of hope for this guy. Not only that, but he is versatile. As we probably all know, he played 1,500 snaps at the guard position and 800 snaps at the tackle position. He played guard, obviously, a lot more than anything else, and he was in a run-heavy scheme. It was almost a 2-to-1 ratio of runs versus passes in that offense and system that they had there, which is very, very good news. You're bringing not only run blocking, but also pass blocking, which he's very good at if you're only allowing 3 sacks in 3 years over. I mean, you're playing at least, if it's a 2-to-1 ratio, exactly. We have 2,300, so he is, what is that, 700 snaps passing, and he only allowed 3 sacks. That's just incredible numbers. Not only that, he only allowed 3 sacks in 3 years, but he only allowed 24 hurries. So what a hurry is you're forcing your quarterback to either kind of move out, like force a play like a scramble or something, or throwing a pass earlier than they kind of plan to. So he only allowed 24 hurries total, which is 8 per season. Again, that's not bad at all. A lot of guys are doing that in 1 season, if not more, or double that in 1 season. This guy's an incredible talent. He's going to instantly come to this team. He's expected to play at right guard for this year. We're going to be talking about this year now, why I think he's going to have a breakout season. Expected to play at right guard. That's what he played during rookie minicamp, which we were watching last week. I did a video on that too. If you want to go check that out, that would be very much appreciated. But I might have that pop up. I don't know. They've been really wonky lately, and they don't act, I'll put them in, but they don't actually pop up when the video goes. I don't know what's been going on. But he's expected to play at right guard, which likely means that that left guard position is going to be either Sawyer or Filer, and we're going to be moving the other one to battle with Pipkins at right tackle. He's at right guard. He's right next to Corey Linsley, which is an all-pro center that we got from the Packers just last year. Guy played incredible last year. I expect him to do good this year. When you're playing next to a guy at that caliber, not only is he going to be able to help you on plays, on blocking, but he's going to be able to point things out and help you during practices, during the game, which is going to help a lot, help Zion improve a lot. Zion came into camp with a lot of energy. He's ready to go. He's 100% effort on every single time we see him working on. He's 100% effort. It looks incredible. I expect him to do very good things. And on his other side, he's going to have either Filer, who is a very, very good right tackle. He's not great right tackle, but he's quite good right tackle who definitely is going to be able to help Zion Johnson in scenarios like getting up to the next level, all this stuff. Or Pipkins, which I think a lot of us are hoping he improves. If he's going to be a starter, he clearly improved. But I think even Zion Johnson, if he's next to Pipkins, he's going to help Pipkins a lot. And I think this is very, very good news that he's coming to an O-line that's already ready. And I think he's able to be a Pro Bowl year one. I genuinely do. I think a lot of people believe that he might be able to be a Pro Bowler year one. And he proved that he can hold his own in college, not only with allowing only 3 sacks in 3 years, but 24 hurries over 2,000 plus snaps and 700, 800 at passing, and he only allowed 24 hurries. He's very, very good in the run blocking. This guy, I greatly expect to come out of the gates just ready, on fire, and he's going to get moving right away. I expect a Rashawn Slater-esque year as long as he's able to stay healthy. I think a lot of people will agree with that statement. Now, we have Jalen Guyton, a guy that a lot of people wish really stepped up to the plate right away with the abilities that he has. In 2020 and 2021, which was his second year in the league, something like that. I think his first year he didn't pass a single catch or catch a single pass. But his 2020-2021 season, he had 511 yards and 3 touchdowns. Last season, 21-22, he had 448 yards on 3 touchdowns. So only 3 touchdowns, which is still good. You just hope to see that improve. Maybe like 6 or so would be nice for him. And about 500 yards when you have people like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen who are both getting over 1,000 yards. You're not really expecting him to go get 800 yards or anything like that. I mean, genuinely, you're just not expecting that unless the Chargers start throwing the ball all the time. But he had 31 receptions on 48 targets this past year, which it's a decent percentage. You still want to see it improve, especially for a team that had one of the worst drop rates in the league this past season, which definitely helped with the fact of not making the playoffs after a very stellar start. But Jalen Guyton, you want to see his receptions improve per targets, and I definitely expect him to get over 500 yards. I'm going to say he gets around 6 to 7 with 5 or 6 touchdowns. I could easily see him doing that. Now, why do I think he's going to be able to do that? Not only did the Chargers not draft a speed guy like most people were saying to do in the draft, I didn't feel there was a need to because of this guy right here. He runs a 4.39 40, sub 4.4, which is very, very good. He's plenty fast and he uses his speed well. We've seen that this past season with some of these deep balls that gets thrown to him. He has pretty solid hands. He's been working on his routes with Keenan Allen. He already has pretty good hands, but when you have people like Mike Williams there, he's going to be able to help you too with come down with tough catches, strong balls, all that stuff. So he's going to be able to improve not only because of the guys that he's had next to him, not only the fact that he's growing, he's developing, he has more years in the league, so he's going to improve. He has a contract year for sure next year, which often causes people to really want to perform at a high level. And I think the biggest reason why I think he'll have a breakout season is because the O-line again. Not only do you have Slater and Linsley, who you brought in this past year, you got Zion Johnson now, you got Filer, or Sawyer, and Pipkins. You have these guys who, multiple Pro Bowlers on that line. You have people that are maybe not Pro Bowlers, but definitely solid starters, which is going to allow Herbert more time, And when Herbert has more time, a guy like Guyton, who has a lot of speed, is going to be able to create bigger separation. And Herbert having time means when Guyton makes a separation, he can still see him and he can release the ball to him, which makes me believe that not only will his speed be more useful because Herbert will have more time to find him and get him that deep ball, but also his route running is going to improve, which will allow him to get open more consistently. And maybe if Keenan Allen moves to the slot, it will allow him to have those outside routes a little bit more. And that's kind of why I expect Guyton to improve. That's also why I think they didn't have to go out and draft a guy that was super fast in the draft, such as Bo Melton or some of these guys that were falling that wasn't expected, because I think Guyton already, not only he already has years in the league, which is very important, consistent years at that, and just about 60-yard difference and the same number of touchdowns, but he had development with Keenan and Mike, and this O-line improvement is going to help him improve as well, giving him more time and Herbert more time to find him. Another wide receiver that I expect to have a good year is Joshua Palmer. Now, last year was his rookie year. I think people weren't expecting a whole lot out of him, especially with where he was drafted the prior year. But he looks very solid. Not only is he a bigger body, he can come down with tough balls, but he has very good route running skills. Now, he wasn't on the field a ton. He had 353 yards on 4 touchdowns. So he had more touchdowns, but 100 less yards than Guyton, which when you have people like Keenan and Mike, you're not going to get that many. And not to mention Austin Eckler, who's also a receiving back, who's going to steal some targets, and Jared Cook, who got quite a bit of targets this past year. But he was 33 receptions on 49 targets, so he had a better receiving percentage than Guyton did. I think these guys play at a very similar level. It's just Guyton's ability to have that speed and get open deep is going to give him more yards on less receptions because of that huge ability to make that 60-yard reception out of nowhere and have that big game in the middle of nowhere. But we haven't seen a ton from him last year, and maybe that makes it a little bit of a questionable decision here on me saying that I expect him to have a breakout year, especially if I'm saying Guyton is also going to. How are you going to have so many receiving options have a breakout year? And I'm going to surprise you with a couple more picks because of that. But he runs a 4.51 40. He's not incredibly fast, but he's not super slow. He runs good routes, and he's going to improve with Keenan Allen. He already has some pretty solid hands. We saw that this past year. He has very solid hands. He was catching some tight touchdown throws there. He came in pretty clutch there. He had a touchdown in that Raiders game that the Chargers ended up losing and missed the playoffs in. Sorry to bring it up, guys, but this guy has all of the intangibles that you need. I just expect if you give him more targets, he's going to get more yards. I feel like he's going to do very well. So a breakout year for Joshua Palmer, probably about 500 yards, 6 or so touchdowns, 150 plus yards, and you know what? Let me be honest. If I'm being brutally honest, I think he gets closer to 750 receptions. I think Staley's going to not only, with that defense, get his offense the ball more often, but I think he's going to let Herbert throw it some more. So I think Palmer is going to have 750 or so yards on 6 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to be a touchdown machine. I think he's going to be very similar to Keenan Allen. That's just how I feel about him when I watch him. I think he's going to be similar to Keenan Allen more than his size might make you think, because you look at him and you'll think, oh, he'll probably be more like a Mike Williams. I think he's going to be more like Keenan. So I'm going to say 700, 750 yards from him, which is almost double the amount that he had this past year, which is very, very good. And I'll say Guyton's probably going to be around that same number. And because let's be honest, Mike Williams, who had a very good year and had over 1,000 yards last year, so many of those came in the first 4 or 5 weeks. So many of those. And then Keenan Allen was able to turn up, which means all it takes is a couple games where you got multiple guys. Sorry, my throat's getting a little dry. Where you got multiple guys, a couple games here and there, where this guy has over 100 yards, this guy has over 100 yards, maybe this guy has back-to-back 100-yard games, and you can have multiple receivers that are having 700-plus yards. So I don't think it's that big of a surprise to say that I expect multiple of these guys to do very well. Now, another pass catcher who I also expect to have a good year is a guy that is not a wide receiver, but I think a lot of people have a lot of hope for, and it's Chicken Parm. Donald Parham Jr., if you don't know. It's his nickname. It's a very good nickname at that. Now, he did miss some time last year with a very scary concussion. I'm glad he's okay. That was a really scary concussion to witness. There was everything from people thought he was never play sports again to they thought he was going to be like immobile because what was going on there. I'm glad he's okay. It was incredibly scary. But he missed it was towards the end of the season, so he didn't miss a lot of time. He had 20 receptions on 27 targets, so he has confident hands, is how I describe it as. You expect him to get a little bit more targets because Jared Cook's gone. Yes, you bring in Everett, but I feel like they're going to be more of a 1A, 1B, where last year it was clearly a 1 and a 2 for Cook and Donald Parham. I expect to be 1A, 1B with Everett on this team. You got another year with Herbert. Herbert likes him a lot. And his last year's stats, he had 190 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 13 of his 20 receptions were for first downs. So when you need him and you're able to move the sticks, he's going to be there and he's able to come down with it. Good reception rate. You want to see improve always. You want 100%. But it's still a good reception rate. He had 3 touchdowns on only 190 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, so he's a good red zone threat for you guys. He has a big body, a very, very big tight end. He's able to use his body well. As long as he comes back, he's going to be looking incredible. And it's only been 1 day, but he kind of, the clips we've seen, he looks like he's quite healthy at OTAs. We haven't seen a lot of him catching balls or anything, but he's looked good. And he looks fully ready, so I expect him to have a good year. Now, why this year do I expect it? Why not a couple years down the road or whatever? Well, not only is health a thing, you want to see him healthy, and that's going to be a huge thing for him, but he's the potential tight end 1. Like I said, I think it'll be a 1A, 1B, but he's the potential tight end 1 since he's already been with the team longer and he knows the scheme. He has talent to be that tight end 1 on this team. He is a very, how do I describe this? The O-line improved. We've talked about this. Multiple guys with multiple positions, and it's going to help him too because the run blocking is going to be better. So the run game is going to be better. So Austin Eckler is going to have more opportunity, which when your run game's better, your play actions will be better. And play actions a lot of times end up going to the tight end. Passes normally lead to the tight end on play action. So you have a better run game. You're going to be able to more effectively do a play action because they're going to believe it more and have to kind of go after it because your run game, which is going to allow your tight ends to get open a little bit. And I think that's a big reason why. That's where I expect a lot of his yards to come from. He's an all right blocker. You want to see him improve, but he's not terrible at it. And I think another reason is most tight ends take some time to develop. That's something we consistently see. There's not a lot of times where you see a tight end come in and right away they're on fire and they're staying on fire. Normally it does take a few years for a tight end. That's one of the few positions that takes some time to really start going good. And now that he's had a couple years in the league and he's had some time underneath his belt and he's with the scheme and he understands things, I think that that's going to put him in a very good position to have a really good year this year. Now, we've listed a rookie. We've listed some guys that have only played 1 year in the league and some guys that have played a couple, like 3 or 4. Now let's talk about somebody that's been with the team for a while, has signed a new contract, and similar to the last video where I talked about Joey Bosa, is still in a great position to have a breakout-esque season because the things that were brought to the team is going to make him even better than he already was. Who's that? Austin Eckler, a guy that's incredible. He's explosive, and the plays that happen while he's on the field sometimes don't make sense. He's getting tackled by 8 dudes, and he still gets a first down that's 6 yards away. The play looks like it's completely gone. He catches a simple little out route behind the line of scrimmage, and he takes it for a 40-yard touchdown out of nowhere. Or his speed, he's able to go get a wheel route. So he's already had a very good year. Why do I think this year will be better? Well, last year, 2021, 2022, he had 911 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, and a fourth of his runs were for first downs. Very good stats, just barely under 1,000 rushing yards. Passing, 647 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, and 627 yards after the catch. That means only 20 yards. Only 20 yards were made from him being past the line of scrimmage when he caught it. The rest were all him doing running and stuff. And that's a big thing with running backs because normally you catch it behind line of scrimmage and then you go. But that tells you like he wasn't really catching those big wheel routes like he did the years prior with like Phil Rivers and all that stuff. So he had 1,558 yards total combined, which is 20th in the entire league. He had 20 touchdowns. He only had 4 fumbles through all that stuff. He only had 4 fumbles. And he just didn't make the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to say whether he should have or should not have. That's an opinion you can share in the comments if you want. But why do I think this year? Not only has the O-line improved, the run game has improved, which is going to probably bounce him to over 1,000 yards. The O-line passing game's improved, so Herbert's going to have more time to find him on those longer routes, those wheel routes, or plays are going to be able to develop, and DBs are going to be pulled downfield. So when Eckler catches it, he's not going to have to go through 8 guys to get another 6 yards. So the O-line's a big help. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler this year. I think he might be on the fringe of All-Pro this year because of the O-line, because what his talent already is, and because Herbert. And lastly, I think a big reason why this year is the year is because of his relief. He now has we believe, he now has a running back too that the team can be confident in. That you can take Eckler out and this guy will be able to take rest off and you won't have to worry about getting Eckler right back in 2 plays because that running back's not doing enough for you. People expect Spiller to be a very good back, and I do as well, which is going to take relief off Eckler playing every single rep, similar to Joey Bosa on the last video. Because the depth that was brought in, they're going to be able to rest guys that normally don't get enough rest, which is going to lead to them having more energy and always giving 100% when they're on the field, which is only going to lead to good things. And that's it. 5 guys. Zion Johnson, Jalen Guyton, Joshua Palmer, Donald Parham Jr., and Austin Eckler. 5 guys who I expect to have great seasons and breakout seasons. A couple Pro Bowlers on the list. A couple guys that I think are just going to improve by a good amount, but not Pro Bowlers because there's already a ton at the position. And a guy who I think injuries and the guys in front of him might have held him back, and he's in a position to go get it now. But comment down below who you think on the offensive side of the ball will have a breakout season. And if you want to talk about defense, I have a video on that. So go ahead and check that out, please. If you really enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Give me some criticism down below. And again, comment who your breakout guy is. Also, if you really enjoy this content, you will see more Chargers content or NBA or NHL content, hit subscribe. It means a world to me, and you get to see more of my content. And if you stuck this long, I think you enjoyed it. But, no, as always, hope it touched something today. Hope it made you smile. Hope it made you laugh. That something's really important to me. Affects someone else's day in a great way. And, as always, you guys all be safe out there.
But something tide won't let me